Good morning, students. I am Professor Rashi Bansal from PG Department of Mathematics, Khalsa College, Patiala. Today we will discuss the topic multiplicative function and the theorems related to this function. This topic is from the subject analytic number theory and subject is of MSc Mathematics second year. Now, earlier we have, in my first lecture, we have done about the arithmetic function. Now we will discuss about the multiplicative function. Now, what is multiplicative function? If fn is arithmetic function, I have already told you what is arithmetic function. So, if fn is a arithmetic function which is not identically 0, we are taking it is not identically 0. What is the meaning of that? That it is not 0 at least for some domain. For any element of domain it should not be 0. For at least some domain it should not be 0. Such that what is its property? F of mn is equals to f of m into f of n. So here if f of mn can be separated as f of m into f of n for every pair of positive integers m comma n such that GCD of m comma n is 1. Here we are taking the GCD of m comma n is 1. That is we are taking those integers m and n whose GCD is 1. So if fn is arithmetic function which is not identically 0 and for any integers pair of positive integers m comma n for which GCD is 1, if you can separate it as f of m into f of n, it is called the multiplicative function. Now next definition is totally or completely multiplicative function. Now what is totally or completely multiplicative function? If f of mn is equals to f of m into f of n for all m comma n belongs to z positive. Z positive means positive integers. If for all m comma n f of mn can be separated as a f of m into f of n, it is called totally or completely multiplicative function. What is the difference between these two definitions? Here we are taking m comma n all those integers whose GCD is 1, but here we are taking all the integers m comma n for which it can be separated as f of m into f of n. So whenever the function will be completely multiplicative, it will definitely be a multiplicative because it holds for all positive integers. But in multiplicative function, if it is a multiplicative, it may or may not be completely multiplicative. Next we will do the theorem. Prove that dn is multiplicative function. In my first lecture I have already told you what is dn. dn is the divisor function. Here we will prove that dn is a multiplicative function. So what is the proof? You know that if we have to prove it is a multiplicative function, we have to take the integers m comma n such that GCD should be 1. So here we are taking m comma n belongs to z positive such that GCD of m comma n is 1. We claim that what we have to prove, d of mn is equals to d of m into d of n. Now case 1, if m is 1 and n is 1, GCD will be 1. We know that because here the 4 cases will arise because we have to take the numbers m comma n such that GCD is 1. So if m is 1 and n is 1, we can take it, GCD will be 1 and mn will be 1. So d of mn will be d of 1. Answer will be 1 because divisors of 1 are only 1. D of m, d1 is 1. D of n, d1 is 1 and d of mn obviously will be equals to dm into dn. So it is proved for m is 1 and n is 1. Now case 2, when m is 1 but n not equals to 1. But GCD will definitely be equals to 1. So here mn not equals to 1. Mn what will be mn? Because m is 1, mn will be n. So d of mn will become d of n. Now what is dn? We can write it as 1 into dn. But 1 can be written as d1 into dn. So d1, what is d1? dm. So dmn is equals to dm into dn. So for m1 and not equals to 1, it is equal. Case 3rd, when m is not equals to 1 but n is 1. It can also be the case when m is 1, here n is 1 or m not equals to 1. So GCD will be 1 and mn will not equals to 1 and mn will be equals to m only. So d of mn is equals to d of m. d of m we can write it as 1 into dm. 1 d1 we can write it as d1 into dm. So dmn is equals to dn into dm. So it is proved. It is a similar as the case 2. Now we will prove it for case 4. When m is not equals to 1 and n is not equals to 1, you know that we are taking the arithmetic function. So this number will be greater or equals to 1 only. So when it will not be equals to 1, we can take it as m greater than 1 and n greater than 1. And I have already told you if any number is greater than 1, it can be expressed in its canonical form. What is canonical form? It is written as the product of prime factorization, and prime factors have powers also. So we have written m P1 alpha 1, P2 alpha 2 up to PR alpha, and n is written as Q1 beta 1, Q2 beta 2 up to Qs beta s. Here we are taking Pi's and Qis are distinct primes. Why we are taking it? Because GCD of M and N is 1. We have already taken that GCD is 1. So these all primes should be distinct. Therefore Mn will be P1 alpha 1, P2 alpha 2 up to PR alpha, Q1 beta 1, Q2 beta 2 up to Qs beta s. Product will be this. Now dMn. We will substitute the value of Mn here. So this is the formula. I will drive you the formula also, that any number, if any d is p1 alpha 1, p2 alpha 2, pr alpha, our answer will be alpha 1 plus 1, alpha 2 plus 1, alpha r plus 1. It will be in product. It is also written as, if we have only one prime factor, p alpha, answer will be alpha plus 1. So here how many primes are there? So there will be alpha 1 plus 1, alpha 2 plus 1, alpha r plus 1. Similarly here p1 beta 1 plus 1, beta 2 plus 1, beta s plus 1. We can separate it in one bracket, it is in another bracket. So first bracket will become d of p1 alpha 1, p2 alpha 2, pr alpha, and second bracket will become for q1 beta 1, q2 beta 2 up to qs beta s. So it will become dm into dn. So it is proved when m is not equals to 1 and n is not equals to 1, it is proved for that also. So this is the proof of that dn is a multiplicative function. Now I will show you the formula of dn. If next theorem is, if n is p1 alpha 1, p2 alpha 2 up to pr alpha, where pi's are distinct primes, then what is dn? dn will be alpha 1 plus 1, alpha 2 plus 1 up to alpha r plus 1. This we will prove. It is the product of all alphas plus 1. What is alpha plus 1? We can write it as product alpha plus 1. What is the alpha? P alpha divides n. That any prime raised to power alpha divides n. We will prove this result. Let n is equals to p1 alpha 1, p2 alpha 2 up to pr alpha r. This is given. Then any divisor d. We are taking no divisor function. We are taking only divisor. Any divisor d can be written as, you know that if n is this form, any divisor d can be written as p1 beta 1, p2 beta 2, pr beta. Now what is beta i's? These beta i's will be 0, greater than or equals to 0 and less than or equals to alpha i's. I will let you understand with some example. For example, 18. 18 is written as 2 square into 3. And you know that 2 square into 3. Now 2 square, what is 2 square? 2 square can be divisible by 2 0. 2 raised to power 1, 2 raised to power 2 square. That means this is alpha and these all are beta. So beta i's can be 0 to that number. So powers, when we have p1 alpha 1, it can be divided by p1 beta 1. What is beta 1? Beta 1 can be 0 to alpha 1. So all visors of this can be 2 raised to power 0 into 3, 2 raised to power 0 into 3 raised to power 0. These all are the divisors. So any divisor can be written in this form. Clearly, if we will take I is equals to 1, so beta 1 less than or equals to alpha 1. Now, beta 1 has alpha 1 plus 1 choices. Obviously, because beta 1 less than or equals to alpha 1 and 0 is also included. So, it has beta 1 has alpha 1 plus 1 choices. So clearly p1 beta 1 has alpha. If beta 1 has alpha 1 plus 1 choices, beta 1 will have p1 beta 1 also will have alpha 1 plus 1 choices. Similarly, p2 beta 2 has alpha 2 plus 1 choices. Similarly, pr beta r has alpha r plus 1 choices. So when we will product it, so choices will also be in product form, alpha 1 plus 1, alpha 2 plus 1, alpha r plus 1. So these are the divisor. This is divisor function. So D has these choices. These choices means this is the counting for the divisor of P. So number of the divisors of n, it in product form. So this is the formula that we have used in the previous theorem. Next we will do the next theorem. Next theorem is, if n is p1 alpha 1, p2 alpha 2 up to pr alpha, where pi's are distinct primes, then sigma n. This is the formula for sigma n. What is the formula? p1 alpha 1 plus 1 minus 1 upon p1 minus 1, p2 alpha 2 plus 1 minus 1 upon p2 minus 1, pr alpha r plus 1 minus 1 upon pr minus 1. So what is the proof? Any divisor d, you know that any divisor d is written in this form. So sigma n. What is the definition of sigma n? Summation d divides n d. I have already told you in first lecture. So we substitute the value of d here. Now all beta i's are vary. So we have taken beta 1, alpha 1, beta 2, alpha 2. We have separated these all summations. It will become p1 beta 1, p2 beta 2, and all summations are vary. Now we will take the first summation. When we will take the first summation, now p1 beta 1. Beta 1 can be vary from 0 to alpha 1. So it will be 0, p1 1, p1 2 up to p1 alpha 1. So it will become 1 plus p1 square up to p1 alpha 1. So this becomes GP series. So formula of GP series, sum of GP series a r raised to power n minus 1 upon r minus 1. So this is the formula for GP series. Similarly, if you will solve next summation, it will become p2 alpha 2 plus 1 minus 1 upon p2 minus 1, and this is a, we will put all this in equation number 1. So it is the formula will become like this. So this is the formula for sigma n. As we have done the formula of dn, similarly is the formula of sigma n. Next we will prove the next theorem, sigma n is multiplicative function. This theorem is similar as the theorem of dn. Here we have to prove the multiplicative function. So we will take, let m comma n belongs to z positive such that GCD of m comma n is 1. Because we have to prove multiplicative, so we will take GCD is 1. To prove sigma mn is equals to sigma m into sigma n. Similarly the case, we will take m1 and 1. So mn will be 1. Sigma mn will be sigma 1. Sigma 1 is also 1. Similarly sigma 1, sigma n, all it will become equals to. Similar as in we have done in dn. Case 2, when m is 1 and n not equals to 1. So GCD will be 1. So mn will be n. Sigma mn will become sigma n. We can write it as 1 into sigma n. 1 is written as sigma 1. So it will become sigma m into sigma n. Similarly, if m not equals to 1 and n is 1, so GCD will be 1. Mn will be m. So sigma mn will become sigma m. It will become 1 into sigma n. So sigma 1 into sigma 1 m. It will become this. Now case 4, similar, if m not equals to 1 and not equals to 1. So we can take m greater than 1 and n greater than 1. So we can take its canonical forms. Pi's and Qy's are distinct primes because GCD is 1. Now what is the product? Mn will become p1 alpha 1, p2 alpha 2, pr alpha, q1 beta 1, qs beta s. Now sigma mn, we will sigma mn, when we will this whole terms we have derived the formula, that is this. So for all these primes the formula will become, we will write it as for all pi's and we will write it as all qy's. So it is in one bracket, it is in another bracket. So it will become sigma n, it will become sigma n. So it is sigma mn is equals to sigma m into sigma n. It is the same theorem as we have done in dn for multiplicative function. Now this is the proof, this was the proof of sigma n. Now note is what? Sigma kn. Sigma kn is, when k is 1 it will become sigma 1n. So it will become sigma n. So sigma kn is the function we have done, that is the divisor. We will take the sum of the kth powers of divisors of n. But when k is 1, sigma n will be the particular case of sigma kn for k is equals to 1. So this is the particular case of sigma kn. Now students, we have done today, we have done about the formula of dn and about the formula of sigma n, and we have proved that how dn will become multiplicative function and how sigma n will become multiplicative function. And another theorems related to this topic we will do in my next lecture. Thanks a lot students. Thank you very much.